Okay, I apparently am live. Hello. I'm gonna go. I am completely reliant on people posting up in the chat to let me know that they're there. So let's do a little bit of a sense check that I'm not talking to a microphone on my own in my office. If you want to just pop in the chat, where you're from, your name, if you want. So just have a quick idea about. It says I've 13 people. We're due a lot more. So if you want to just put in the chat where you're from, if you're from Ireland, don't put just Ireland, put place, and we can start having a sense of who's here. Okay. All right. Don't be shy, folks. I'm going to tell you where I'm from in the chat. Wicklow, Ireland. Okay. Cork, born and bred. We won't hold it against you. Deirdre from Balbigan. Good to hear from you. John from Youghal. Oh, local, good man. Ava Whelan from Still Oregon. I know Ava from Piranha. Good stuff. Okay, guys, we've got plenty more in the room. So let's have a quick come on before I want to have a thing. Carlo, great. Do we have any internationals in the audience? There's Randy here. He's American, but he's over in Italy. I hope he's doing well after his fall. We got Drogheda. We got England. Hello, Pat. Well done in your rugby result yesterday. Hard luck with Owen Farrell getting red carded. We won't hold against you. But okay, anyone else, guys, want to share where you're from? We've got 30 in the room, and I'm only seeing 8 or so. Cork. I'm really gonna have to take all my my Cork jibes out of the whole process. For people who are from not from Ireland, there is always a little bit of rivalry, shall we say, between Cork and Dublin. I'm Dublin born and bred, so. But for the next weekend, I'm a big fan of Cork, and you'll get this across. Okay, there's England. There you go. County Down. Great. Okay, cool. Okay, we'll just give another couple of minutes to get some other stragglers join, if you don't mind, folks. And actually, let's just test this as well. Do you want to? I'm going to see. You can click the like button as well, just to see if that's working. There we go. I should see a sea of likes. Okay, that's 3 likes. Surely to God, I deserve a little bit more than that. Okay. I got a love heart as well. Thanks very much. I'm feeling squishy. Oh, 10. Excellent. All right, guys. People will be able to dial in and will be joining anyhow. More people from Cork. Awesome. Well represented. I'm just going to kick off. Okay. So for those who, you should all know me, because I have been posting up videos and all that. But my name is Stephen Moody, or Coach Steve from Smart Endurance Solutions. I am an Ironman U certified coach. I've been coaching for 20 plus years. I've been racing Ironman for 10 years, etc. And I've been I've kind of adopted the Facebook group for the 70.3 guys and the Ironman group, and I'll explain why. But let's go through how a couple of ground rules. Okay, this is Deborah from Wicklow, by the way. I'm living in Wicklow, by the way. Hello, Deborah. Here's some ground rules about how this is going to roll. Okay, rule number 1: there's absolutely no such thing as a dumb question. If there is anything that you are not certain of when it comes to the race, you have to ask it here. There's lots of people in the room who will be delighted to asking any sort of questions. You go, oh, thank God someone asked this. I didn't know that. Please ask the question. The only way any question will become dumb is if you don't ask it and it causes you a bit of an issue on the race day, or you stress about it for the next kind of week. Please, as I said, I have 20 years of racing and coaching, 10 years of Ironman experience. Use me as a resource. This is what this is all about. I want questions. Rule number 2, in terms of the scope of questions, I'm going to answer questions on any sort of coaching queries you have, the race day, how it will go, any final tips you need to take, anything about the course. That's my scope. I will not answer any questions because I don't know them in terms of when car parks open and close, what the road closures are, when does registration open. That's going to be handled. If you want to do that sort of stuff, make sure you dial into John Walnut and Joanne Murphy's presentation tomorrow. They're really good guys. I know them from circuit. John's actually in my triathlon club, who's never beat me at iron distance level. In case that does come up, just make sure. He's beat me at every other race level, but don't bring that up. But they're going to do a really slick job in terms of all the logistics and stuff. So make sure you do that. And a key tip, if you haven't already, make sure you register for the Ironman app from the store and register as a participant, because what Ironman will do on the race weekend, if there's any time critical updates like the swim cutoff is changed or anything that they're closing transition earlier, they'll use the app and the messages on that. Don't rely on email, don't expect text. Make sure you register for the app and all the rest. And when you go in, you can select Cork, you enter in your name and you go, I am a participant, and then you'll get instant messages from it. So that's a key tip already. Okay, so that's the other thing. How I'm going to handle this, by the way, to give it some sort of structure, is I'm going to go in order of swim, transition, run, bike, transition to run question. So, and if you have a question about the run section, hold off asking me in the chat until we get to the run section. Just to give it some sort of kind of structure, because I will be kind of trying to manage all the questions popping in the chat, and that's how we're going to take questions. Please pop them in the chat there, and I will pick them up. And here's my commitment to you, as in, I won't finish this call until everyone's questions are answered. I've done these before, and they can typically take anything between half an hour to 2 hours. I'll still be here because I want you guys to have the answers to the questions. But again, that's how we'll do. So I'll announce when we're doing swim questions and then put them in the chat. I have some people who have issued questions beforehand via email, so I'll use them to kind of kick us off. And don't sweat it if you go like, oh no, I've suddenly thought about a question that I want to do about the swim when we're talking about the run section. We'll do a mop up at the end, okay? Okay, first question I'm going to start off with. Someone's asked me, why am I doing all this? And again, I have a primary objective out of this, right? I want Cork to be a massive success, and it will do it on its own, but I'm trying to help a little bit, because the more people have a great day in Cork, the more people will come back next year. You might decide to do 70.3 or do the Ironman or whatever you're going to do, and you'll tell your friends, etc. So because I want Cork to be on the map as a race for years to come. It's a superb race, and Ironman as a business tends to, if they don't have enough people to sign up for a race, they take their kit and they take the ball and go elsewhere. I don't want that to happen in Cork. We've seen it happen with some big races that have been around for 20 plus years in Bolton and Lanzarote in Europe. I want Cork to be a success. So this is my way of helping Cork be a success, by giving cool people like you who have taken up a massive challenge advice on how to do it right and answer any questions you have. That's my primary objective. My secondary objective, and I've made no secret of this, is me trying to grow my YouTube channel. And that's why I thank you very much for actually subscribing to my channel. And to clarify, no, I'm not trying to make millions out of YouTube, because to make millions out of YouTube, you need millions of subscribers. And let's face it, there's not millions of people that have the cojones like yourself to step up to like a cool challenge like a 70.3 or an Ironman. But I do want to help more people into our triathlon community, and I think I can do that by having a bigger channel and sort of reaching out. So thank you very much for subscribing. And if, as a polite request, if you can help me with that lofty goal about helping more people into triathlon, tell your friends about the channel, ask them to subscribe. When you're rewatching the videos, make sure you like them, as in take the 2 seconds to hit the like button, because then YouTube goes, oh, he's got 200 likes, he must be a good guy, and they promote it to triathletes around the world. And I can spread the good word and the gospel of Coach Steve. And also, if you haven't got already, I'm a little bit flippant. I have a strange sense of humor. I'm definitely not woke. I will probably end up, I don't intend on offending anyone, but again, I do apologize if I do, but I kind of speak from the cup. So with that in mind, I'm going to kick off with some swim questions that came in. If you've got swim related questions, start sticking them in the chat there and I'll pick them up, okay? And again, keep hitting the like buttons, because I get a little love heart then. I feel kind of warm and squishy in the inside. Okay, so someone asked me, what's the difference in current? In the videos, I outlined that for even the 70.3 and the hardest part of your swim will be you're going slightly upstream, 400 meters for the 70.3, and around a K for the the full. Someone asked me, what is the difference in current? So I actually looked at my own swim split. So it gives it's not huge. You're not swimming against a raging tide and all this, but there is a difference, right? So for example, when I went up, I was 2:05 pace, which would be slightly off what my race pace would be when I was going against the tide. on the way, and I swung back, and then when I did, I was 1:55 to 2 minutes per 100. So it's significant without being it's not going to break the bank. But the key thing for you to remember there is that it will be slightly tougher on the way out, and don't get disheartened and go like, oh my God, I'm feeling like I'm slower, I'm feeling like I'm working hard. You've just got to get to that big turning point, turn around, and then you're coming back in. It's actually a quite nice beginner course. All right, guys, as I said, if you have questions on the swim side, please put them in the chat and I'll pick them up. I have a couple of other swim questions here. Someone asked a very specific question about the high tide. They said last year, and high tide was at 7:55, and all the age groupers were in by around 7:10. This meant that swimmers at the end, what you call it, if they went in, were slower because they're struggling against the tide when it was turning. Okay, so actually, I must admit, I had to reach out to the tide whisperer, who is John Ennis, who actually does the swim course down there, and I asked him, and he said, particularly for the full, he said the numbers aren't huge in the full, so he expects all the swimmers to be in the water within 10 minutes. So it's not going to make a huge difference. So what his advice was, you do just seed yourself correctly and get in. He did mention there's a stand in just either side of high tide where the water is just stationary and there's no flow, and that actually makes it a bit more difficult. But as he said, it's not going to make a difference for the people racing on the Sunday. For the rest of you, as I said, do seed yourself correctly, but try to get in a little bit earlier if you can for the 70.3. As in, if you are a 40-minute swimmer, get to the front of the 40-minute corral. That will help you at this. You don't want to be too much at the tail end. You get that stand, as he calls it, where the water goes a bit flat, and you lose that bit of push and occurrence. Okay, all right. So I have a question from John. Local people have said that if you go in late, you can get caught with the tide at the end. I'm a slow swimmer, so it'll take about 2 hours. Some people have suggested going in earlier and staying to the side. I think I just covered that there, John, but I know I wouldn't. There's a danger if you go in a too strong a group, because then you'll, as I said, you'll miss out the chance to draft or swimmers at the same level yourself, and B, there's a chance you get swam. Some of the stronger swimmers will kind of try to push you out of the way. You don't want that. As I said, but as John was saying there, it's a 10-minute window. You'll all be in roughly the same time. And again, your thing as a slower swimmer, as in make sure you've got your sighting nailed. Even if you're not going to get huge draft, or you're not catching on people's feet, make sure you're swimming as much in a straight line as possible. Use the yellow buoys to keep yourself straight. Red turning buoys, they're your friend. Okay. And then Sam, should you seed yourself by normal swim time or factor in slightly quicker time considering the current? No, seed yourself by normal swim time, because if everyone does that, then they'll just get the current advantage. If everyone tries to factor in, and some people do know what there should be a current element, it'll make a mess. So the only way it's going to work is if you seed yourself as you expect to finish. If you're a 2-minute per 100 swimmer, put yourself in the corral for that side. Don't try to build in the current effect. You'll only you'll get it wrong, and certain people do it and certain people don't. Everyone's got to keep the nose in and the nose clean on this one. Okay, all right. Currently in London, what's the weather temperature? I should have. Okay, so and one of the things I should have said, I'm not going to discuss the weather, and there's the reason why. It's too far out. It's a week in Ireland's weather time. Our weather will change. We'll have 2 or 3 different seasons that will affect, and like people are going to post up on forums and drive themselves nuts by going, the water temperature is this, swim's going to cancel, it's really cold, it's really windy, it looks hot. That's just negative energy. So what I recommend to you, Matt, is yes, we do have to take into account the weather, but this is how I handle it, and this is how I recommend to my one-to-one guys. We plan for every eventuality, and we only tie down what we're going to do on the day 2 days out. That's the only day you'll have some relative certainty about what's going to happen with the weather. So when I say plan for every eventuality, you bring a rain jacket. You bring, a jacket you can wear in the run, because what you can do is you can put those in your red and your blue bags, and if it is crappy weather, you're covered. As in, if you don't want to sort of go, oh, I looked at the pictures from last year and it was scorching sunshine, all I'm bringing is sun cream. That will be an absolute disaster. So what you do need to be is, as I said, bring just pack for everything. You can only control the controllables. You can control what you have and what you're ready for. You cannot control what the Irish weather is, because if you could, we'd pay you an awful lot of money to come over here and help us. So hope that covers that, Matt. Oh, I'm going to ask for a lot more likes. We've got 62 people in here, and I've only got 28 likes. Go on, hit the like button. This is why I got into this. I want to be an influencer. I want little love hearts floating up. Nick O'Brien. Hi, Steve. Thanks for doing the live chat. I've had quite a lot of issues with the silicone caps popping off due to my big knocking. It happens to us. Nick, is there a trick to keeping them on? I've tried doubling, but nothing. This is also one of my tips I like to do. As I said, bring 2 swim caps. One, you'll have to wear the Ironman swim cap, right? So bring an old swim cap that you don't really give a toss about, and you pull it on tight around your ears, and then you put the goggles on, and then you put the Ironman hat on and pull it down. And that does 2 things. One, it kind of keeps everything in place because it's squishing a little bit. It also keeps your goggles tight and firm. And if someone does accidentally bump into you, you're not going to lose your goggles, which would be a disaster. So that's it. Definitely bring a couple of spare swim caps. But remember, you will have to wear the Ironman branded hat on it, because that's how they know what wave you're in, etc., etc. So, but bring 2 swim caps. It's a great way of actually securing, keep your head a little bit warmer, keeps your goggles secure, and it takes care of your larger noggin, which I also suffer from. Yeah. Okay. Hope that answered. On average, would you recommend tinted or clear goggles, given how much of a swim eastbound, but mostly days are now cloudy? Good question. As in, the tinted goggles are better for if you have the sun coming up and when you're sighting, you can get a bit of glare in your eyes. I always go for tinted goggles anyhow, on the fact that it might be slightly sunny. I don't see a huge advantage of having just the clear glasses. Now, by the way, if you only have a pair of broken in swim goggles that are clear, stick with them, please. Now's not the time to try things new. But I would go for tinted goggles if you have them as an option. So yes, it will be slightly cloudy. You won't use a huge amount of visibility. The swim, there's lots of these big ass yellow buoys. You can't miss them, and the turning buoys are big. And I've covered the sighting points in the document, so make sure you check them out. So tinted goggles if you have them. Any recommendations for that Irish guy? Any recommendations for goggles fogging up? Yes. Not the most pleasant example, but spitting in the goggles and just rubbing them in gently. That tends to keep it up. I'm not a big fan of anti-fog cream, but anti-fog because it can actually get in people's eyes and can sting. So literally, spit actually tends to keep it. It works it for me, and it keeps it just nice and simple. Okay. Hugh Maran. Hi, Steve. I'm a 2019 survivor. Good man. And back then, I arrived to swim reckoning I was ready for the swim. This time around, not as much. Is swimming a bit like a marathon, or should distance have been done? If I'm hoping that you've got a fair amount of swim stuff in the bank. Like the marathon, you don't need to cover the entire swim distance in one sitting. You don't have to have covered the 3.8K in the ocean to be prepared for this. It does help, and it's something that I do encourage my guys to do. I actually encourage them to do it in a pool with a pull buoy, just to swim continuously for 3.8K swim, mainly for mental toughening. It doesn't really build up any of the endurance. Your other swim sets and technique will have been built up beforehand. But the thing with yourself, Hugh, is this swim is easier than most Ironman swims, because as I said, you're coming out, you're working for around a K, you're swinging around, and then you're getting a bit of a push home. So even if you've only maxed out at whatever 3K or 2.5K in your swim sets, you should be fine. Again, back to what I was saying to the other person, your key point there is drafting as much as you can stay on someone's hip, on their feet. That makes your life easier, because it means that they are someone else is breaking the water for you. And sighting is key. If you're a weak swimmer, you do not want to add on a couple of extra 100 meters by heading out that way and going, oops, this way. Sight well, draft as much as possible. And then, as I said, on the way down, try to cruise a bit more, as in try to exaggerate. On the way up against the current, short, choppier strokes, because you're pulling at the water more. On the way back, more of a glide. Hold out your arms and all the rest, and actually just count 1 second, 2 seconds, etc., and take that advantage. Okay, doke. I hope that helps. Late to the party, Paulie. How are you, Paul? Kenneth, would it be safe to say keeping all turning buoys on your left? There's one near the finish that is kept left or right. Yeah, keep them all on your left. when you're, I think there is one at the end, but what they do at the very end when you're coming into that jetty, there's almost like, I don't know if you've played those computer games where you have to fly between these two little two dots, but there's yellow buoys on the way in. Just keep heading towards them. It's very obvious when you're coming in. And the reason we have the yellow buoys in that jetty is if you go too far to the left, there are rocks on the side of the lighthouse which you want to avoid. So stick within in between them, aim in the middle, and again, by the time you get towards the end, the volunteers, see the volunteers, you can see the kind of concrete jetty, aim for them, aim for those, and they'll help you out. Again, a quick tip there, do not jump up too fast, because that's what, like, you're going to be in the water for whatever, 30, 40 minutes for 50 minutes for the half, up to 2 hours for the full. If you jump up too quick, what happens there, all your blood drains and you get dizzy, and especially as you're running up a little bit of a ramp, you want to give your body's blood flow a chance to flow down and get lost. Jumping up too quick is going to save you 30 seconds. Fainting is going to lose you around 5 minutes. Okay, doke. All right. Discovered that Marie's got a point there for the keeping your goggles unfoggy. Discovered that the disposable wipes you get at Specsavers for reading glasses also work for swim goggles and don't sting. Brilliant tip. Thank you very much for that. Can we get a thumbs up for Marie there? Again, I like to see little love hearts. Hugh Marin, 3.8K UCD it is then. Yes, that's same for mental toughness. Yeah, okay, Hugh, if you do, here's my tip. Do it with a pull buoy. Do not do it on your own. Do not do it as a swim, because that will simulate a little bit of the wetsuit. And if you're there on a Wednesday and a Friday, keep an eye out for me, because I'll be there swimming at 7 and I'll say hello. Hi, Ryan from Rush, Paul's Magic. I know people are saying nothing new on race day, but I have new goggles on the way, hopefully early next week. Same brand I've used. Okay, will this be okay, or will I use my own ones? Use the new ones. Goggles aren't going to do a huge amount of difference. You will be getting in for a swim familiarization. Well, I would recommend you get in for a swim familiarization session around on the day before, and it should only be 20-30 minutes just to kind of get the water feels a bit cold. Look at that. That's where we'll be entering. Use the goggles then. Bring your second pair just in case that there's a leak with the new goggles. Always have a spare kit for Ironman. I keep saying it in the videos. Better to be looking at it than looking for it. Okay, alrighty. This might be a stupid one. Now, that Irish guy, and there's no such thing as a stupid question as I opened up. But the cutoff time for the swim, is that including the time to transition onto the bike or making to the mount line? No. The cutoff time is literally, and I was there last year, and there was one guy who made it with seconds to spare. It was like a Mission Impossible movie. It's literally when you exit the water, when the guys, if they pull you out of the water, the minute you get over there's a mat at the top of the jetty, you have to cross that. Then you're in transition 2. You've made it. You're under the 2 hours, 20 minutes. So that is your Mission Impossible. Okay, doke. All right. Okay. Mr. Ross, can Sunday racers go for a short practice swim in the area on Friday? Saturday, assume Saturday will have to be in the afternoon once the 70.3 wraps up. Yes. And Mr. Ross, I would recommend that you do it on the Friday, and remember, the practice swim, you're trying to simulate as much as what it's going to be like on race day. So if you're hopping in at 5 p.m. that evening, it's not going to be that similar. So what you're better off doing is getting down there for around 7 or 8 when the kind of tide will be coming in, and get a feel for it. So do your practice swim on the Friday if you're a Sunday racer, if you can, and roughly around that time. Okay, cool. Where do you recommend keeping spare goggles on the swim? This is now there's two schools of thought in this. One of in our club, some people actually do bring spare goggles and they stick them down the front of the wetsuit. I'm not a personal fan of that, because I did it once and I found they kept on banging into me. I'm a bigger fan of, actually, as I said, my previous tip, that you secure the goggles on your what you call it. You have the two swim caps, one on, secure them, and then you're fine. Most people will sort of panic a little bit about if the swim goggles snap when they're putting them on. It's not, your swim goggles aren't going to suddenly pop. They shouldn't if you secured them. Won't lose them in swim. They won't start leaking. And if they do, it's just you have to deal with it for the swim. People have problems where they're pulling them on race morning. They're a little bit too tense and they pull on and they snap. They snap the string, whatever. what will happen there is, I guarantee you, an Ironman tend to do this. They tend to have spare goggles there. So like, but again, do not. So you don't need to bring spare goggles in the swim leg with you. Bring spare goggles to the event. Have them close to you on race day, just in case. Okay, doodle-doo. Ryan Driscoll, caffeine gels. How much is too much? Would 4, 5 on a 100 on a piece be okay throughout a full Ironman? Okay, we're slightly moving into the caffeine gels. Again, these are stuff that you shouldn't try really on the race day. If you've done it on your long runs and your long bikes, and you know that your stomach is okay, fine, you can fill your boots. But if you know that you've tried 3 of them and you felt you just felt bloated, or you felt a bit sick in the day, be careful on it. I would veer, and again, this is a strategy a lot of people use. Some people will, in the last week of their Ironman taper, they cut out coffee altogether. They stay away from caffeine for the week, and they kind of caffeine detox, and then they hold on till the second lap or last lap of the run and start taking caffeine gels, because you'll get a bit of a kick. And also, if you take Coke, it'll maybe get a bit of a kick, and off you go. So, but I wouldn't be taking, personally, from my own experience, I have only ever taken 2 caffeine gels, and I did that in the last 2 loops of an Ironman. And I think if I'd taken any more, I could have actually accelerated some sort of laxative properties of it. So bear on, was it 10 to the more cautious side? I would say 2 or 3 max, and also you should have practiced this beforehand. Okay. Alrighty. John, I think I read in the active guide that bike out from start 2.5 hours, so you have to take the full 2 hours 20 minutes to swim. You have 10 minutes for 2. Yeah, that stands about standard. And by the way, we're now, I don't think, yeah, caffeine has yes, exactly. If you do load up on caffeine, it does potentially explosive properties. Okay, we're now moving into, I'm presuming now that's all the swim questions. Okay, if not, we're going to move on to transition 1, because some transition questions come through. 78 people in the call. This is fantastic. I want more love hearts. I've only got 39 love hearts. I think I'm doing well. So let's hit that like button and get me some love hearts, please, people. Are there lots of changing tents at T1? I've read somewhere that people waste a lot of time waiting here at the toilets. This was general Ironman, then in Cork in particular. I have a phrase: nothing good happens in transition, in the sense that do not delay in transition. Caveat: smooth and controlled. Do not sort of sit down and start thinking, oh my God, I have a 180k bike, I have a 90k bike, la la la. Get into your process. What do I need to do? I need my red bag. I need my blue bag. I need to kind of get my wetsuit off. Do everything. You shouldn't be sitting there looking at your hands or sort of go and thinking about what's coming next. You should always be moving, everything smooth. It's not like a smaller distance triathlon. If you want to belt through it because you're saving yourself 30 seconds. If you belt through a transition in an Ironman and you forget, you drop your nutrition, you don't put on socks for your bike and all the rest, you're going to make the next leg very uncomfortable. Move things quickly. The changing tents will never fill up, because you think about it, everyone's going in a rolling wave and everyone's moving in quite quickly. So there will always be somewhere to sit down and get your stuff together, but move quickly through it, quickly and controlled. You won't get held up there. Okay, there are, and there's one big changing tent which you go through and all the rest, and there tends to be sort of seats that you sit down in it. And in the blue bag, again, watch the transition video. The key thing you need to do is get your wetsuit off, get your goggles, your hat off. You take out your stuff and the blue bag, dump your wetsuit in, dump your hat in, helmet on, race belt on if you haven't got it on. If you're doing a full change of clothing, do that. If you do that, make sure you bring a towel. Dry your feet, put on your socks, talcum powder on the feet, whatever you need to do just to make it a little bit easier. Make sure you're comfortable leaving T1. That's key. Alrighty. Any other transition 1 queries, guys, or questions? Okay, but as I said, they're the top, Coach Steve's top tips on transition 1. Take it smooth, take it controlled, be aware of what you need to do. And again, also beforehand the race, you need to walk the flow, right? Know where you're going to go, because you're going to come out of the water, you're going to go up that jetty, walk through. Where's my blue bag? Where do I get that? Where's the tent? Where is my bike? That is key. Find a good big ass landmark that do not sort of go, oh, it's beside this P5, this green P5. That P5 might be gone when you time you get there. what you need to do, it's in the third lane up. It's right beside, it's right opposite that that tree in front of the apartment, and you go, that's where I'm going to. And then when you're before you also walk back, what it's going to be like when I come in from the bike entry, when I'm bringing in the bike, I have to come down and it's this way, and write it all down, and then make sure that you're comfortable, because these are key things. Because you will see people, and again, it's almost like a spectator sport. People getting lost in transition. They're running around. They're a little bit ahead of the slide, and they're panicking because they've just done a swim, massive swim, brilliant condition, but now they're all a bit panicking, a bit jittery, and they can't think logically, and they lose 5 minutes running up and down. Where's my bike? Make sure you know your landmarks. Smooth and controlled. Okay. Alrighty. Run with shoes on. For me, Cork, if you're in a field, so there's not I'm a fan of actually leaving my shoes attached to the to my bike and running with it, and I use the elastic lace, the elastic bands to hold the shoes level. So that's more of a thing. If you're in transition, you're running on something on the hard ground, we might bang the two. So I think you can run without your shoes on, and make sure that allowing you to put the bike shoes on the clip on your bike shoes onto the pedals. If nervous on it, just put your bike shoes on. Again, the same thing. It's not going to be a massive difference because it's soft underfoot as well, because it's grass. Okay. Martin Kerrigan, is pulling up your race license on your phone enough to prove your TI membership for registration? Yes, but also make sure that you have a picture of it saved. As you can go on the TI and take a screenshot and save it in your favorites. It means it's dead easy. And again, if your phone loses signal or whatever, for some reason, it's just there. Top tip. Sorry, swim to bike via tent to change. Yes, there is a tent to change for that. Again, it's the same tent that you go through when you're coming from the swim to the bike, and it's the same tent, but you're coming through a different direction. You'll pick up your blue bag when you're going from the swim into the tent, and then you'll pick up the red bag when you're going into the tent to change from bike to run. Same tent. Okay. Mark Flanagan, would you pack all wet gear you might need for a bike in case weather turns in T1 bag and carry it in pockets and leave on the special needs bag and pick up later? No, I would definitely put everything you think you might ever need in your blue and your red bag. Plan for every single occasion, because the weather will not change that dramatically in terms of the actual day. As in, realistically, if it's raining when you're starting off, that's the way it's going to be. If it's and the personal needs bags, they're kind of at different points of it, and I think they're quite difficult to get to. So you'd have to stop mid race and then put it in. I'm a big fan of having it sorted in your blue bag and your red bag, because you can make that decision logically. Go, okay, Grant, the weather looks dodgy, I'm gonna put it on. It's better to have it on me than thinking about it. Don't put it in the personal needs bag. It's just too awkward. Okay. Restart. There's a huge general change tent and gender specific subsets for the rare people who want to get into their birthday suit. Yes. So there's lots of room, and there's the bit of privacy for people who do want to change it. And again, other questions they get asked: should I wear a tri-suit? Should I wear a cycling kit? Should I wear a run kit? If it's your first one, if you're anyway nervous, you're not going for time, you're going for comfort, 100% recommend that you do a complete change into your comfortable cycling kit with a big chamois on it, and you're changing to dry kind of run kit. Dry yourself off, take a bit of time. Tri-suits are people who are looking for specific times, who've done this a couple of times. If you're new and you just want to be comfortable for the day, take the time. You'll lose 2-3 extra minutes in transition, but you'll be more comfortable. What's the exit one T1 light? What gear should I be in? It's a slight climb out of T1, but nothing. It's not as if you can do it in your big gear at the front and the middle gear in the back and the back cassette. It's not anyway spicy, and also it'll be full of people, so you'll actually be powering up it anyhow, cheering. The reception at the red station is terrible. Have everything screenshotted. Yes, thank you very much, Paul. Kieran Larkin, I tend to run low on nutrition on the run. I can't carry water bottles with my nutrition. What's the rule about someone passing your own water bottle on the run? Kieran, just again, remember there are aid stations every 2.5 kilometers on the run. So you don't need to worry about carrying stuff. Literally, you'll be max 10-15 minutes between each aid station and fill up your boots there. I don't believe in kind of carrying extra stuff with me on an Ironman race. I feel that we spent enough money on the entry fee, so I load up and Morton gels. I load up and drink. So use the aid stations and just be confident that they will come regularly enough. You actually, to the letter of the law, you cannot take any outside assistance from someone on the course. So if someone is seen handing you a bottle of Coke, a water bottle, and you're reported to a marshal, in theory, you could get DQ'd. So it does happen. And again, are they going to DQ kind of a mid-pack age group, or because their kid handed them a Coke because they wanted to help daddy? Probably not. But do you want to take that risk? Take it confident that there's buckets of aid stations on the run in terms of the frequency of them. Okay, alrighty. I think we've covered T1 there. Now I'm going to move on to the bike question. I had a query from someone said, excuse me, what's the optimal set? Oh, hang on 1 second. What is the optimal cassette for a court and gear ratio for a course like Cork? In this, I recommend a 12-28 cassette with 52-36 on the front. By the way, if that means absolutely nothing to you, do not worry, because it's just in terms of what gear setup and how many rings you have. If you have done all your training in your bike and you have a standard cassette and you've done your hill climbing and you're comfortable in it, you will be fine. Cork as a bike course is overly hyped in terms of the climbing because of Windmill Hill. There are rolling elements to it, but as I said, there's nothing that would require a huge amount of gear changing. I know that stuff I've used fast and it's worked for me, but if you don't plan on changing your cassette, completely ignore that. Okay, guys, so any other bike queries? Are you all just feeling absolutely smashing and no queries about bike at all? Or I've frightened you all off? Windmill Hill, how are you guys going to handle that? Have you decided on your strategy? As I said, and also if you are deciding on your strategy, take into account weather. And again, I know we said we're not going to talk about the weather yet, but if it's a wet, rainy day and I think you're kind of borderline being able to climb up the hill on Windmill Hill, revert to a walk strategy, because what will happen if it's really wet, like it was in 2019, and we've got a survivor here, that your wheels actually start slipping on the way up because when it gets really, and you don't want that. And there's a lot of surface work going down. So if the weather is minging and you're kind of a little bit kind of torn, revert to the safer strategy. Sam Meakin, what are the aid stations like? Standard fare for Ironman. They are long aid stations where there are at the front of it. There's always a litter zone. So there's two parts. Like they literally mirror each other. The only place you can chuck litter on the course are in this litter zone, especially on the bike. So when you're coming in and you're trying to get rid of stuff, if you want to get rid of a water bottle because you know you're going to put a new water bottle in, chuck it in the litter zone. That's around kind of 100 meters beforehand. You will be coming in and they will line it up. They typically order it that it's water. As a volunteer would holding out water bottles, the next one's going to be holding out ESO or electrolyte or Gatorade. I think it's on the course. Next one will be handing out Coke. And then they'll do the food. There'll be a banana. There'll be gels. There'll be energy bars. They do that, and then they mirror at the other side. So again, at the other side, you have again, it's water, Gatorade, Coke, yada yada. So if you miss the first one, don't panic. You can get the second one. And what you need to do, and aid station tips, when you're coming into an aid station, slow down, communicate to everyone around you. Guys, I'm coming into the aid station, because everyone sort of go, ooh, food, and they'll start veer in. You've got to tell someone that you're suddenly moving in. So you go, look, I'm going in, guys, I'm going in, and then like indicate in. And then the next thing you need to do, you sort of go, if it's water you want, you sort of start pointing, again, very politely but firmly, slow yourself down. A water, point to it, make eye contact with with a volunteer, reach out, slow down, make sure you grab the bottle, and then put it into your bottle cage. All the bottles will be designed to fit into a standard bottle cage, and that's why you should have chucked your other one beforehand. You'll definitely end up with new Ironman Cork water bottles afterwards, which is cool. Again, and if you want to get food, sort of go, look, banana, point, grab, go. And when you're pulling out, be 100% aware that people are around you. Also be aware that people have dropped bottles. You need to be looking all the time. Aid stations are well stocked. They're very smooth, but they can be precarious. Take it smooth, take it slowly, and make sure you communicate to all around you and yourself. You're watching all the time. It's where most people will end up spilling. Okay, cool. Hope that helps. What are the aid station? Don't break the rules. The DQ a lady for going for a pee behind a tree in the massive park in 2017. Yeah. Back to the other point. Don't take water off your friends. Use the aid stations. Is there any etiquette to pushing your bike up Wembley Hill as in keeping to the left? It's fairly tight, to be honest. It's not a huge amount of space, but yeah, walking on the left is probably the more logical thing, because there will be cyclists coming around you on the right. But keep it tight, I suppose. Just make it as much space as possible. Nutrition for the cycle: 90 carbs per hour. Is that right? Or so 3 Cliff bars an hour? Yes, that would be about right. Roughly aim for 300 calories an hour would be. The range is between 240 to 360 of calories per hour. Again, it depends on your body type, how long you're going to be out on there. I do there's a webinar I do on the nutrition, but I'll put that in the links. But yeah, that sounds roughly right. It's also what you practiced. So hopefully that works out. Sinead's with traffic. What are the cutoff times for 70.3 in the bike? What average speed do you need to make the cutoff? Cutoff for the bike on the 70.3, I believe. I'm gonna have to look that up, to be honest. Unless someone can tell me off the top of their head. I know for the bike. Let me come back to you on that, Sinead. Sorry, I probably should know this off the top of my head. I'm going to take that down as a question. Cutoff times 70.3 bike and have speed. Okay. See, even I still have things to learn. Bike mechanical assistance. If you have an issue with your bike on the ride, is there help, or do you have to sort out yourself? They do have rolling motorized support as such, where you're going to where there's a wheel works, as that they drive around the van and they do loops and they pick up people if they have not pick up people, they assist people with them. But let's remember, they're doing loops of a 90k loop, and there's only 1 or 2 of them. So if you've got a puncher and you're sitting there waiting, you might lose half an hour to 40 minutes, depending on how busy they are beforehand. So you should be self-sufficient, and in that we highly recommend that you carry puncher repair kit, spare tube, and all the rest. So anything like standard that might happen to you on a long spin, you should be able to fix. Do not sit and wait, because you might miss bike cutoffs. If you're not comfortable with changing the puncher yet, get on YouTube tonight and start learning it. And it's a crucial skill. But yes, there are support, but you do not want to be looking at the clock ticking down, because there's no guarantee it will get to you in time to allow you to make the bike cut off. Stuart Farrell, I've no aero bottles, so thinking of adding a bottle holder for my spares, etc., on my down tube with 2 bottles behind my seat post. Will this affect aerodynamics? Bottle holder for my spares on my down tube with 2 tubes somewhere. No, not massively. What will affect your aerodynamics more is your body shape and your sort of ability to stay aero down, and also your helmet. If you've got a helmet and you don't have a visor, you become the more resistant piece. If you think about the aerodynamics, it goes over the rider and back like that. The rear bottles don't tend to be that much of an influence. What will be key there is making sure the bottles are secured, as in it can be bumpy parts of the course, and if they tend to become bounced like a rocket launcher, make sure you secure them well. Okay, look, I'm gonna get more likes. I've only got 44 thumbs up. Give me a bit of love, people. Can you see I'm enjoying this? This is great. Hit that little love heart there. That'd be great. Okay, do people stop at on the bike to get food, especially not going for time? Yes, they do. There's no hard and fast rule that you have to keep moving to an aid station, but as I said, there is an element of, if you can't pull in and block a load of volunteers. So what I would recommend, if you need time to get yourself adjusted, grab the stuff, go a little bit past the volunteers and don't pull into the side, then sort yourself out, eat the bar, drink the water, change your bottles, etc. That's the way you have to handle it. You just don't want to actually be a blocker in it. But if you want to actually see a really cool aid station, Google Diana Reef, And she shows you how she does it as a pro. But you guys, no, just make sure you're comfortable and safe. That's the bigger thing here. From guide, athletes may not have any communication device of any type, including not limited to cell phones, smartphones. Presumably okay to go to Garmin watch if you want. Yes, absolutely, Martin. They're really kind of talking about having people bring their phones with them. And I go like, oh, I don't know. And they try to put their wireless headphones on. You can't do that. That will get you DQ'd very quick, smart, because you need to be able to hear things. The phone, and people put on AirTag on their watch so people can track them. The Ironman tracker is quite good. I think people are just wasting their time doing that, and they want to record it on Strava. It'll all get uploaded from your Garmin. Your Garmin is good, and you don't have your watch, so therefore it's not communicating to it. You don't have your phone, so it's not communicating to anything. Is 2 water bottle cages on the bike enough? Absolutely, Ronan Durkin. It is, because if you think about it, you're swapping them in and out at the aid stations. They could do. The key thing there is, if it's a hot day, make sure it's kind of half empty or empty by the time you get to an aid station. So you chuck it in the liter zone, and then you move on, and then you just put in a new full bottle afterwards. So you're constantly swapping around, and don't miss aid stations. They're there for your friend, that you getting your money back and forth. There you go. Okay, grand. All right. What else you got? 5:30 for the bike cutoff, I think. Thank you very much, Matt Kirby. Yes, that's correct. And that would work out at, I think 21 kilometers an hour, I think. I'd have to do my math's dreadful. Someone do the math for me on that and save my blushes. How often are toilets on the bike run? That's going to be a question for John Walnut and Joanne Murphy, because they tend to change this a bit. From what they typically will do is they'll have portaloos at the aid stations rather than have them randomly dropped in the middle of the aid station. So there's around, I think, 3 or 4 aid stations on the loop. 3 portaloos. So that's a bill for that. But confirm that with John and Joanne. I can't be doing their job all for me. 5:30 is bike if I can swim. Oh, hang on. Actually, that probably sounds a bit right. Okay, yeah. So that's, if it's 5:30 for the bike and swim, and there's 50 minutes for the swim, that gives you 4:40. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, cool. Righty-ho. Any other bike questions, or we'll go into T2? Okay. T2, again, you will be coming down from after Windmill Hill. So you swing around to a left, and it's not a massively steep descent, ironically enough, considering where you've climbed up. It's gentle enough descent. There's a couple of turns in it. You loop around and you head back towards transition 1, the transition area. You'll be coming in, and the mount line is the same the dismount line, which you need to be off your bike beforehand. So build that into account. You cannot cycle over that. We'll get you a penalty if they're going to be really hard-nosed on it. And make sure you get off the bike. Rack your bike. Now remember, this is where you will need to find your landmark, because you're now disorientated because you're coming in after a long bike and you're feeling great because you've murdered a Windmill Hill. You don't even know what all the nerves are about. And then you rack your bike, you run into your tent. You can only take off your helmet when you're inside the tent as well. You cannot take your helmet off until you actually rack your bike. But just get in, get your helmet off. Then you dump the helmet into the blue bag, into your red bag, which is your bike to run bag. Take out your runners, take out your clean socks, dry your feet. There's nothing worse than a half marathon or a marathon, wet, soggy socks, and that gets blisters. And then off you go on the run. And the run is, okay, what else on the T1? That's about it. Again, back to my original point, nothing good happens in transition. Do not sit down. Do not think my legs are sore. They're not going to get any better in that 5 minutes. You'll only cramp up if you sit there thinking about it. Give yourself a target. I got to get to the first aid station, and then I'll give myself a Coke, or I'll give myself a bit of food, and I'll feel good about myself. Trick your mind. Keep moving. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Bike question. You mentioned in a few videos that there's some very sharp turns. Are they clearly signposted arrows? Yes. All the sharp turns on the course will be clearly referenced, and they'll have marshals with red flags out a couple of 100 meters beforehand. So it's not that you're going to suddenly come up to it and get a shock. They're very aware that they're dangerous turns, and they highly and they shout that out. And actually, right, Sinead, sorry, I have got that wrong as well. It's 110 for the swim. I get my 70.3s and my halves mixed up. So yes, it's 110 for the swim as a cutoff for the 70.3. Sorry, one more bike question. Any tips for what to put in the personal needs bag, bike or run? I need to be good. I don't believe in personal needs bags, by the way, lads. Because I've only ever used them twice and I've never picked them up. Because as I said, if something's going south, it's not going south when you're passing the bag. But from personal experience, what things I would have benefited from personal needs bags would have been Imodium, would have been was it Tums for your stomach, but again, half the time, as in this will happen when you're miles away from the bag. So things you can put in there, and what I know people have benefited from, are any sort of comfort food, as in that you're not going to be able to get an aid station or carry easily. If you really love ham sandwiches and you think, you know what, I can have a ham sandwich in there. If I'm having a bad day, I'm going to actually stop my personal need bags and I'll sit down and a pack of tater crisps, and I'm just going to get my head back in the game. I know people have done that. That works for them. I know people who had stomach issues and they said they've taken Imodium, or they've taken the Alka-Seltzer enough to settle the stomach. I'm not a big fan of taking huge amount of any sort of drugs when you're putting your body to. People talk about putting ibuprofen there. Do not put anything that's kind of a strong medication in your special needs bag. And you'll hear people talking about this. It's a bad idea. Your internal organs are under enough pressure. Do not do anything daft and put them under further pressure. So what else have other people put in? Coke, Lilt, a whatever, and it's that sort of stuff. But again, I just find when things go south, they rarely go south close enough to personal needs bags to actually be of any benefit to me. And remember, you will not get anything back from that personal needs bag. So if don't put in your favorite run top, or a new pair of runners that you think that maybe I'll just change my runners because they'll be dry. If you do not use and pick up your personal needs bags on the bike or the run, they get chucked. So don't have anything good in there. Okay, look. I plan to add my fill bottles and food on race morning, presuming that is okay. Yes, you will have access to your bikes and all the rest. And it's a good idea because overnight it can get wet or it can get hot in the morning, and you don't want to get kind of warm or kind of soggy food in it. I also recommend only putting on your Garmin in the morning as well. The transition areas are guarded, but that doesn't mean that some opportunist dude is going to lash in and kind of steal, was it stuff like that. It has happened in a couple of Ironmen, where in Ironman Hamburg, bikes stolen, but they're guarded, they're secured. But for me, I just put my Garmin on in the morning because I know I can charge it that night again, and then put my food and my drinks on the morning. You should have access to your blue and red bags as well. But again, top tip there, when you're packing them, take a picture. So because you're sort of going, oh my God, did I put my socks in there? I can't remember if I put my socks in there. And go, hang on, picture of, the socks, they're in there. All about minimizing stress the day before. Downhill into T2 is only for the full, though. T2 at the top of the main hill. No, Andrew Jones, that's different. Andrew Jones, you did not watch the course video. You're a bad person. Only joking. The 70.3 is different this year, and the difference is you do not. The transition is the same transition as the full. You do not go to the GA club, which you did when you went up and turned right. You will both 70.3, both Ironmen roll round and they come down, and you're all in the same transition area. So you do turn left for 70.3. Andrew, you should watch that video and like it. Remember. Yeah, Martin Kerrigan. Yes, you do not get the contents of your personal needs bag back. That is correct. Is there a litter station at the end of the aid stations? Yes, and they typically do that. And also on the in the bike, there's the litter zone at the start, the litter zone at the end. Chuck there in there. They tried to make it goofy as well. Like for example, in Ironman Texas, they had goalposts and they had was it basketball hoops. So like I said, like so when you're actually aiming to get the water bottle in the goals and all the rest, and a big cheer. But yes, they're the only place you can litter. For the run aid stations, it's a little bit more relaxed. There are bins and stuff there, and if you hand some litter to someone in to a volunteer and say, look, can you put that in the bin? No one's going to give it. They're going to be happy that you're keeping y'all nice and tidy. It is a beautiful spot, by the way, and thank you very much to all the people in Cork that I do like this race. John McAnally, how do you get carb water if filling up from an aid station? As I said, remember there's going to be water, Gatorade, and Coke. So if you're looking for carbohydrates in your drink, there's some in the in the Gatorade. There's also some in the Coke. If you are using something like a high five mix or a high five button, what I will typically do is I'll bring the little tablets and I'll have them in the front of my top tube bag. And I know then I'll fill up my bottle and I'll take time and I'll drop in one of those tablets, and that will give me whatever the high five mixture I need. A little bit extra, and that's why using one of the front loading hydration systems is better, that you can actually pour in the water and then drop it in and not stop. Okay, alrighty. Carb header. Yeah, that's I said. Just you can. It's a little bit more awkward. As I said, you can use it with the tabs if you can, but otherwise, just I said, essentially start off with two bottles filled up with tailwind, right? So by the time you're coming to the first aid station, you should have drained the first one with a tailwind. You chuck that, and then you replace with a water bottle, and then you have the second bottle of tailwind. You won't be drinking more than three bottles of tailwind anyhow. Well, not unless you've tried it a lot. Okay, that is T2, I think, and we talk about the run now. Run station. Run is flat. Same sort of loops. The aid stations are 2.5K each time. Same sort of deal with when you're coming in, but it's less of an issue when you're coming in on the bike because you're moving, whereas you can walk aid stations, go right wherever you got for me. I'll take some of those salt crackers. I'll take some of the Coke. I'll take but key advice here is never miss an aid station. Aid stations are there, but your body will be depleted from the bike. Your body will be depleted from the swim. Make sure you're loading up on carbs. If it's a hot day, make sure you're putting water to cool your keep your core temperature down. If it's a cold day, make sure you just keep moving and use kind of Coke, etc. I think last time they had actually soup at one of the aid stations, I believe. Anyhow, but again, I might be dreaming that. But never miss an aid station. Take your time, load up. Try not to walk too often before aid stations, because the sooner you start walking, it's easier to walk, and then you continue to walk and you go, okay, I'll just walk to the next aid station. That's 2.5 kilometers. Walk aid stations, jog, run to the next, and just keep moving. Every step forward is a step closer to home. Do you recommend stopping at aid stations to drink or grab, or keep going? Stopping is the key thing with Ironman. Is all about motion. It's all about not stopping dead, because it's not. Do you know what the hardest thing in the world to do is get going again? If you decelerate, slow down, and when I say slow down, as I said, slow down to a jog or a walk, you're still moving forward. But if you stop dead, then you have to break into that run again. So you're better off always moving, even if it's a slow jog or a walk. But minimize that, because the more you do that, if you stop, it becomes harder to start going again. Remember how hard it is to get going from T2 onto the run course. You do not want to replicate that for the next 14 times, because each time it's draining. So recommendation, if you can, run to the aid station, jog it, keep moving forward. The volunteers will hand it to you. They'll have that. It'll make it easy for you to pick and go. So stopping is not your friend, and every step is closer to home. Alrighty, what is the total elevation of the 70.3 bike? I think that's around 400 meters, 400 meters. I'll have to check that again. It's mainly in Windmill Hill. Again, someone's gonna have to check that for me. I haven't got that off the top of my head. Sorry, Sinead, I've let you down again. Any other questions on the run, guys? For the 70.3, is the first and second lap clearly marked? Don't want to end up doing 3 laps. 70 on the run. It's the 70.3 is 1 loop on the bike. The full is 2 loops. So if you do 2, you're doing the full. The loops on the run, if you're talking about the run, yes, they're very clearly marked. They may or may not do the armband thing. I'm not sure. When I talk about the armband, they give you a little hairband that you put it on your hand, and all the rest, and that indicates when you get blue, yellow, red. When you got them, then you head home. If you don't have all 3, you're not done yet. Also, your Garmin will tell you where you're at. If you're at 14K, you got another lap to do. And yes, it's very clearly that. If there was some guy that did it, that pulled off at 2 loops, but I think like you have to be. Your mind will get frazzled a little bit on the race day, but it's not that bad. So you could be putting yourself out 7K. 850 elevation per lap. Thank you very much, Andrew. That would sound about right. And as I said, that's 200 mainly on Windmill Hill, if I remember correctly. And there's the climb out of Middleton is also where the lion's share of the climbing is. Yes, that's it, Chris. Yeah, we're around 1700 meters, 850. So thanks very much, guys. Good teamwork. Right, run questions, folks. Anything else or anything in general? Let's open floor it. What's the most important thing you'll need to bring to on the race morning? Toilet roll. Why? Because you don't want to go into the portaloos of doom and actually find out that no, the rules there. Do try to build in your race day routine that you manage to have a bowel movement before you get to the transition, because if as much as you can avoid going to inside those little blue boxes, it'll be a more pleasant day for you. How long is Windmill Hill? It is around, it is 400 meters in total. But it starts off gradually, and the pinchy point at the top where 22% gradient is around 50 meters. So you don't really notice it until the first 100 meters in, and then it gets quite then you feel the bite, and then it's hard, and you're out of your saddle, you're grinding, and your saddle, you're down in your last gears, you're having the dead man click. That's where you're going like you just keep on clicking and go like, oh, there are no more gears. And at that stage, you said out of the saddle, grind if you're going up it. If you're not, you already should be up beside your bike walking it. It's Anna-Marie Sanders. It's great fun near the town but if you have a lovely family member, I don't. The best place to support is near the junction from County Waterford. Okay. Mark Conley, do's and don'ts over the next few days. Did do a video on this, Mark, in the taper. But let's have a little synopsis. Don't try to squeeze in extra mad sessions. Your training's done. Anything now you're going to do is bake in fatigue. Don't do anything daft. Do not go out playing soccer with your kids. Do not volunteer for the five-a-side football team with your boss, because anything you could do now is only going to injure yourself. I knew a guy, we had him primed to do Ironman Barcelona. He went out and he pulled his hamstring by playing on the trampoline with his kids. Don't do anything daft. Don't carbo load madly. This is a much vaunted. This is a fallacy from a marathon training where people go, I'm carbo loading. They try to eat their body weight in potatoes and pasta. Rubbish. There's only so much extra glycogen or energy that your body can hold. So eat slightly better, slightly more of what you would do normally. But don't do the dog on it, because you'll only feel bloated and sick for the next couple of days. What else would I recommend? As I said, plan out your logistics. Make sure you've got a plan. You know where you want to be, when you're going to be. Stretch, gentle yoga, anything that suits your mind. Load up on sleep if you can. I do say this, and I get texts from emails from young parents. How can I load up on sleep? I said, I'm going to try. As I'm like, maybe try and avoid any stressful situations if you can. Put off any presentations you've got to the board, or if you have any sort of just push it past. Anything you can do to get yourself in a nice zen state of mind is good. Also, check out there's a video up on the site as well. I'll send that out. The 6 last minute checks. Get your bike serviced if you haven't got it done already. And the taper thing as well. I'll send those videos out for you, Mark. Okay, right. Sorry, do's and don'ts. When you finish, does the announcer announce everyone as they come through, or just random names? Great tip, a great hint. If you want to hear your name shouted out, you need to make sure that you give the MC. They will shout out the name if they have time, and that you give them time. So if you suddenly arrive at a pack of 10 people and you're all sprinting to get under 6 hours and all the rest, they won't get your name out. If it's more important for you to hear your name, then everyone. Key thing is the tip as well, point at your race number, because that indicates you're a first timer and you want your name shouted out, and make sure they've got clear space that they can see you. Make eye contact. It'll be Joanne Murphy. You'll hear her voice all day long. point at the race number, especially for the Ironman. They go, was it Stephen Moody? You are an Ironman, because you're pointing at it indicates you want your name read out. You also want you to call out that you are an Ironman. If you're sprinting along, they go, okay, right, he doesn't give a care. He's looking for time. They won't bother. They will call out your name if you give them every opportunity to. And do take the advantage. You've done a massive achievement. This is a huge thing, as in, like, I think it's hilarious. People sprinting up the finish line for the save a couple of minutes. Sod that. You've done the work. You milk the finish line. High five kids, as in, like, do the airplane. Have your finish line moves ready. Enjoy this. Biggest reward ever. Oh, okay, great. On the race brief, is the run a bit out and in rather than a loop? Sorry, not a very clear question. The run is, it's not, yeah, there's dog legs to it, and you're up and down, and you're up the kind of out towards the funeral home, and you loop around and all the rest. It's very clear, as in you won't get lost on the run, as in you are doing a loop in the sense you go through the town, you go up, was it underneath the bell tower, you come back out, you run past kind of close to transition one, you go back the other side, you go past the Tesco, you go and you loop around. So it's inny outy, but it is essentially 3 loops, but with dog legs, where you go up and you go up a little bit and down a bit, but again, very clearly marked. Kieran, do you mean 3 bottles of tailwind on the full and a half? It depends on what you've been training with. As I said, if I personally use 3 bottles of tailwind on the full. On a half, probably too much. Again, it also depends on what your nutrition strategy is. How else are you getting your carbohydrates? Do you have enough? How are you gonna take it from solids? Are you taking it from the aid station? If or is your nutrition strategy primary liquid and therefore tailwind? Work that out. Hope that was clear. Baby wipes in your back pocket, survive through swim to the end of run in case you're short on Portaloo. Also a good tip. Thank you very much. Do the transition bag get stored there on Friday? Do you bring them on Saturday morning? You need to check in your transition, your blue bags and your red bags the night before the race, and that'll be very clear there. So and you, which is good, because you get to see where they hang, and you get to see what the flow is. You get to walk. Okay, this is where me coming out of the swim will be, and this is where I'm going to be coming in from the bike, and this is where I go at the run. So you need to hang them the right night before the race. So on the Friday for the 70.3ers, on the Saturday for the Ironman folk. All right. Do you recommend doing windmill practice arising on Thursday? Yes. But just to see how you go. But do not kill yourself on it. As in, like, just to see how easy you can get up. At a bare minimum, walk it. All right. I get an idea. And if you sort of go, I have never climbed anything this in my life, then you're going to walk it on race day. But if you go, that's similar to what I would have trained on, I think, yeah, I'm gonna roll the dice, and then just have a little bit of just try and see, okay, right, actually I can get up there. Try it if you don't think you're going to burn out your legs. But if you sort of it goes, oh my God, that makes the decision for you. You walk up it. I'm looking to take advice. Get off the bike and walk Windmill Hill. If so, at what point? Windmill Hill, you come in from the lane, so that's another reason why it's such a bit of a ball breaker. Excuse my language. You're coming in from a laneway from the left side, so it's not as if, like, you can go, right, I'm belting on the flat, I'm gonna hit 40k an hour, and then I'm gonna scoot up half it. You literally swoop around. So I would recommend swooping around, getting over to the left, getting yourself out of the way of other cyclists that will be doing it, could pull in real tight, and also shout. Again, it's all about communication. I'm getting off the bike over the corner here, so therefore some dude, if he's gonna go, he knows to avoid you. I would literally swoop around the first 10 meters and then get off there and start walking off. Anything else, you risk kind of having to wobble and pop off the bike. And you see, it's in that picture if you check out the picture in the presentation I did, it's tight. As in, so you don't have any chance to veer, and because if you do, you're weaving and you're touching other cyclists, or you're banging into people. So just get yourself off and just walk and take it. It's almost an enjoyable experience. I was it going up, because you're talking to people are roaring your name, etc. Okie doke. Marie Stanton does say to Sinead, you should walk one loop 10k the day before. Yep, that will help. Kieran Ward, hey Steve, any tips you have fighting off a cool a few days before the event? Can't shake a sore throat. Now, I'm no doctor, but this is what I would do. If it's just load up on vitamin C, load up on liquids, rest up, don't do anything strenuous, and sleep as much as possible. Again, that's just what I would do. I'm, again, not a doctor. It's also an element of taper madness, which again I explained in the video. I'm going to send out some of these other videos again because I think some people haven't watched. Suddenly everything becomes much more magnified in taper, right? You go like, oh, my throat's a bit sore. As in, it might be, and you just sort of go, if it was a typical Monday and you had a sore throat, and you wouldn't be worried about it, but it's just that looming big day, and you go like, oh my God, this is not going to shake itself. So just load up on vitamin C, liquids, and rest. That's your best hope. And hopefully it is just, it feels a little bit more magnified because it's so close. But fingers crossed for you, pal. Okay, Jolly. Do they call you out as an Ironman at 70.3 as the finish? I'm not sure on this one, to be honest. I don't know. I must check that. By the way, Joanne Murphy is the MC, so that's a brilliant question for her tomorrow. Please do ask her that, as in I'm kind of curious, because I think they do in some races. I think they don't know this, so that's why I'm not 100% sure. I have seen it done. I haven't seen it done others, so I'm not definitely gonna ask Joanne. She'll love a difficult question like that. Weather looks pants for race day. Is it true the rumor may? Oh, okay. Don't know about the rumor. Again, they do have contingency plans to, like, Ironman have a huge playbook, right? They have, and I've seen it before, as in they've got, like, they try for every kind of eventualities. They go, look, if the weather is going to be this sort of, if the weather temperature is this, if the wind temperature is this, they know how to shorten the swim to this amount. If they cancel a swim, how does it turn into a duathlon? If they have to move things around, I don't know whether or not that is a part of their playbook. I know that they will do everything in their power to maintain the current logistics, because they have planned for this. They have everything ready for this. And if it makes their life a lot more difficult stuffing everybody into, well, actually, I don't think it's possible. But if you think about it, because there was a single transition, right? And therefore there's only a limited amount of room for bikes. So I don't think it's possible. But they may fall to their other contingency plans if the weather's bad. And that can be anything that they might shorten the swim, they might cut the swim, but it's also, we don't know what the weather's going to be. And Ironman literally only make that call 2 days out. And they have plans where they sort of, their guys wrap up things, la, 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 la. So I don't know. Again, another question for John Walnut. He'd love that. No, it's not. Look, Bonnet de Bouche, that's a lovely French name, I believe. No, it is not going to be 2019. And by the way, you have to respect the people in 2019, the survivors, the people. I have never seen as many people come out and support to lashing rain, and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible, the entire time. So even if the weather's bad, I guarantee you, y'all will put on a show. As in, they did it, and they were awesome last year. Even if the weather is slightly bad, if it's bad, you will have the race experience of your life, because they will put it on. Trust me. But it's not going to be as bad as 2019. It was a freak. Do you have to have more than number one? If you have to do more than number one, number two, poo emoji, thank you, before race start, am I losing fuel and eating too much fiber? I love these things. You get all sorts of questions. What I do, and you're not losing energy by taking a poo, I don't think, anyhow. What I tend to do before an Ironman race, I tend to cut down the fiber in my diet for a couple of days beforehand. So I'm limiting my chance of having to have a bowel movement. But as I said, if you're better off getting it out of your system before you leave the hotel, a nice cushy kind of like an Airbnb that's nice and comfortable, and all the rest of you not going to Portaloo of Doom. So think about cutting down your fiber beforehand, and also maybe caffeine, because that kind of can be a laxative effect. Thank you for making me have that, Jonathan. You better give me a love heart for that, because that was slightly awkward. And other people, come on, more love hearts. Is 70.3 single transition this year? Yes, it is single transition. But hey, again, another person who hasn't watched my very comprehensive race video on the race course. Homework, watch the video. Yes, this year, The 70.3 and the Ironman transition are the exact same. Single place. You do not go to the right at the top of the Windmill Hill this time. You don't have to run down that hill with sore legs and all the rest. Same transition. What this does have the effect of, and something you bear in mind, it will make it quite interesting for the Ironman folk when they have to check in their bikes. There'll be a very set time, because obviously they can't check in their bikes while the race is on. So there'll be a set time for when the full distance folks on the Sunday can check in the bikes on a Saturday. So keep an eye on that. And again, back to my reminder on that. Make sure you register for the Ironman app, because because they'll give notifications. Like for example, transition opening for Ironman folk at 5 p.m. Was it open until 7, closing in 5 minutes? The Ironman app is their instant messaging option to yourself. Make sure you register, put in your name, and say, "Are you a participant?" Yes, you are, because then you get those messages. If swim gets cancelled, I'm going to pub from 2019 survivor. You know what hold it against you. The swim will not get cancelled. By the way, and I know this from talking to John Innes, he's the Tide Whisperer. I go down and do these camps. I didn't do them this year because I was busy, but I will do them next year. I talked to John. He gives me all the advice on the Tide, because this is what we've done. And you want to see, it's almost like a General Patton-esque map where he has all these different plays and all the book. And he goes, this is this Tide time and this time. And what they'll do, if there is a problem with the weather, they will shift times. And that's why you need to be on that app, because they might go, right, weather front is moving in. We need to get them in the water at 6 rather than 7. So keep that in mind. I guarantee you he will have it nailed. Boy is wicked smart. Bonnie says Imodium is your friend, Jonathan. Again, I'm not a fan of putting stuff in chemicals on my body just to keep my Ironman dreams alive. I'm more a fan of doing it naturally. Just be wary. Again, you're putting your internal organs under a lot of pressure. This is great fun. Rumors: if summer tide is exceptionally high next Sunday, then run route will have to go up by mile. I will not speculate on rumors. Have they jellyfish? No, all the jellyfish have gone away from the holidays for Cork. It's guaranteed. There's always marine life somewhere. We are swimming in someone else's home. We just have to respect them. But I find if you stick behind someone, they tend to bump into anything first. I hope 2024 race will have a ski lift instead. So do I, Bonnie. So do I. Okay, guys, is there anything else? I'm going to open free format. I was about to say you can ask me anything, but I think Jonathan already has. I think some other people have asked me about all sorts of stuff. And what I do recommend, as I said, if you haven't watched the course review videos, I'm going to send out the link to these guys again. There's a taper video that tells you what you should and shouldn't do for the next week. There's a last minute checks video that tells you what you should and shouldn't do for the week. There is a that race course review, which shows you. I talk through where the hills are, I talk where the aid stations are, I talk through kind of hints and tips about it. Please watch them and please like them. If you haven't already, hit the like button. It takes 2 seconds and it makes helps my video get subscribed to more. And please get your friends to subscribe, because as you can see, I'm a great guy. I put a lot of effort into this because I want you guys to have a smashing day, smashing weekend. And by the way, Sunday racers, you have to support the Saturday racers. Saturday racers, you have to support the Sunday racers. Good thing for the Saturday racers is you can be drunk on Sunday supporting the Sunday racers, but everyone helps out here. Everyone needs every bit of energy to get themselves up that hill, around that course. It is not the easiest course on the circuit, but it is an honest course. And as I said, this is hard for a Dublin guy who got bullied by Cork people all his life. Cork put on a show. You're going to have an epic race. I really hope. I'm jealous. Okay. Ross, if you're right on cutoff, do you get a warning or some kind of notification to speed up once you hit the time that you're done? No. A bit of advice on this. The only time where you are 100% certain you will not be allowed to proceed is from the swim cutoff. If you miss the 2:20 cutoff or the 1 hour 10 for the 70.3, they won't let you proceed. But then it gets a bit blurry for them because they don't know what the rolling starts, who is where your time is, la 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 la. So what my advice to people is continue until someone tells you to stop, right? And the only time they will tell you stop, because if you're on the bike course and you come in, unless someone actually stops you trying to leave at the run course and said, no, you've missed, it's often a bit blurred about whether you should be able to proceed or not. And just keep going until you get the finish line. You may miss cut off for the final thing, but you'll still get over the finish line. You'll still get your red carpet ticket. You'll still get a medal. So until someone physically restrains you, and that typically only happens at the swim, keep going. Bonet says, thanks for all your videos and focus on the Cork this year. And last, Jolly, when you mentioned that the calm swim stage, will you get caught in that calm, or will you get catch up with a pull with a tide after it? Yes, in theory, but apparently that stay will be there for 20 minutes. So I wouldn't be hoping that it's not gonna be like one of those wave machines. If you're in the still water, it just means that you have to completely power yourself by your own propulsion. You're not getting any current, you're not getting any resistance. So you may not even notice this, right? It's not as if you're going to hit this patch of water and everything just stops. Keep moving forward, as in always work on your swim stroke, consistently moving forward all day long. And Sinead, thank you very much for all the hints and tips. Thank you very much. Please get your friends to subscribe to the channel. That's the way you can say thanks. And like my videos. If you've watched them, go back, like them. It helps me. Legend Steve, great videos and advice. You should be handing out the medals. No way, I'll be standing all day. I really hope you guys have a super race day. Come back in 2024, please, because I'll be racing and we'll get to race against one another. Thanks, Stephen. Massive help. Again, hit those like buttons, guys, on the videos. Tell your friends, tell your children. As I'm like, I can turn them into Ironman. I won't turn them into Ironman because it's a very expensive sport and it'll cost you. Get them a pony instead. Thanks a million. Thanks for all the tips and advice in the videos, the Facebook group. Really helpful. Been my absolute pleasure. And I really sincerely hope you have a super race day. Don't stress about the weather. You turn up, you've done the training. Racing is your reward for the hard work. Whatever gods chuck at you at the day, you suck it up, you bring it, you get moving forward. Every step forward, every pedal stroke, every swim stroke is closer to that finish line, that medal, that bragging rights, and that absolute celebration afterwards. So please never quit. You will have problems on the day. Something will go wrong. I guarantee you. Adapt, move forward. That's it. Adapt, solution, move forward. Adapt, solution, move forward. And again, otherwise stick to your plan. Thanks, Steve. Yep, thanks you guys. Thank you very much. The guide is a bit dull to plod through, but it's worth a read. Yes, definitely as part of your taper tips, read the athlete guide, look over my videos again. And there's things that the race strategy document, if you've got it off me, write it down, start filling out the sections for yourself, cut out the bit where you stick on the stem and it actually puts on the doodle-doo on your bike, so you know where the aid stations and hills are coming. Great info. Thank you. Well, thanks very much, guys. Thank you ever so much for your time. Thank you very much for your effort. I only ask that you go and smash that course and come back, post medals, like my videos, tell us how you get on the Facebook group. I'm really excited about seeing some of those finisher picks. It's very exciting for you. I'm trying to get down, but I don't know if I can. It would be great to actually meet some of you guys, but if you have any questions afterwards, fine. Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate all the videos and watch them all. The trainer, my chat for coaching 2024. Looking forward to a week or two off. Absolutely. And do, guys, don't worry. And funny enough, there's a video which I give you how to handle the post Ironman stuff. Folks, that's it. I'm going to end the stream soon enough. If you do panic or you have any queries or questions in the next time, you know what my email address is. You know, stick it in the Facebook group. Probably better because I can answer. Everyone sees the answer then. But I wish you the best of luck. Godspeed. Enjoy, y'all. Enjoy the course. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. You've worked very hard. You now just need to put all that training into practice. Stay calm. Focus on your pacing. Focus on nutrition. As I said, things will go wrong. Do not catastrophize. You adapt, solution, you move forward. Every step forward, close to the finish line, and that medal. And I'm looking forward. Hey, and a little show of little hearts again. I'm going to give myself a heart. Hang on one sec. Oh, yeah. Quality. Okay, folks. Have a very nice evening. Thank you very much for your time. Okay, that's it. Right here. Okay. And we're out of here.